Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Regeneration Marathon. This is day 22, and it is a big one. It is the Capaldi special. We're taking a look at World Enough and Time, the Doctor Falls, and Twice Upon a Time as a nice little epilogue, because the regeneration sort of happens in the Cyberman two-parter. Once again, as ever, who has joined me throughout this series, it is Luke.
Yes, I'm here once again, and for 2 more days after this, as we finish off with Woman Who Fell to Earth and the Power of the Doctor on Christmas Eve. But for today, it is World Enough in Time, Doctor Falls, and Twice Upon a Time. And it's sort of like, it's a bit of a controversial choice doing these together, I suppose, because you have people who strongly argue, it's not a 3-parter. Twice Upon a Time is the regeneration story, and I agree it's not a 3-parter. But I feel like, especially for this, as we're sort of like charting the story of regeneration, it's important to have this here because World Enough and Time and Doctor Falls, it is where the regeneration starts, isn't it? Like, he's regenerating throughout the Doctor Falls, really. You have that little pre-title sequence at the start of World Enough and Time as the Doctor begins his regeneration, sort of foreshadowing what's to come at the North Pole.
The second time it's happened in the series, the same series.
Yeah.
Because you had it in Live Land as well, didn't you? That sort of cop-out regeneration.
That was used to like trailer bait, wasn't it?
Yeah, and this is sort of that moment where you're like, oh, here we go again.
Yeah, but no, it actually follows through this time. And so what you have is sort of like World Enough in Time and the Doctor Falls as Capaldi's big finale, really, isn't it? It is the summation of who the Doctor is, really.
Yeah.
It's wonderfully done by Moffat. And then what you get with Twice Upon a Time is an epilogue, not just for the 12th Doctor, but for the first Doctor as well. We're going full circle with this series now because we are looping back to the 10th planet here, aren't we? As this story takes place during that for the first Doctor, which was a nice touch.
Yeah, it almost feels like we should end the series here.
Yeah,
it's a nice loop.
But we've got 2 more days to go, and we'll see how they go as we carry on. But yeah, for now, shall we talk about Moffat leaving? Because it was sort of a long time coming.
Yeah, because he wanted to hang up in 2016 with, the wedding? Or husbands.
Husbands of River Song, he sort of wrote as his last one. He brung River back because, she was his character, didn't he? And thought it'd be nice to tie things up and end it there. But when the BBC decided upon Chris Chibnall as his replacement, Chris wasn't actually available to come do it until he'd finished Broadchurch. And so they asked Moffat to stay on for one more series just to, see things out and make sure that there was some Doctor Who in the gap before Chibnall took over.
And that makes Series 10 feel very like a soft reboot in a way.
It is very much its own thing, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
Like, Clara's gone now. A lot of the baggage from previous series had gone as well, I'd say.
Yes. Yeah, I'd say so.
Like, you've got the whole Gallifrey plotline's been tied up now. And so it very much is just a fresh start for the series, really. And it's odd because we don't get another fresh start the very next series. But it also leaves Return of Doctor Mysterio in a bit of an odd spot in the middle.
Yeah. Which I don't mind. I like it.
Yeah, it's fine. It just does feel a bit odd because you've got Nardole there as well. But I suppose it's more of a sequel to Husbands, isn't it?
Well, yeah, you've got the same... Is it Harmony Shoal? Same villain in it. So it's a nice... sort of two...
I don't know. No, I don't think it's the same villain, is it?
Yeah, because you've got like the half-face thing. With
yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was getting them confused with the brain crabs a bit.
Oh,
yeah, it is the same. But yeah, it also follows up on that with the Doctor sort of in mourning for River, isn't he?
Yeah,
and it's him getting over that. But then at the start of this series, we're introduced to Bill, and we have this wonderful TARDIS trio, who are brilliant, aren't they?
I love those three so much. They're one of my favourite TARDIS teams.
We only had them for 12 episodes, really. I mean, sort of 13 if you include Twice Upon a Time as well, but not. It's something a bit different there. Like we say, it's an epilogue for this
Mm.
era, and they're wonderful together. Bill is brilliant.
Bill is
Nardole
such a
is.
breath of fresh air.
Yeah. And it's funny. We were definitely, well, I at least was losing faith in Doctor Who around this time. We'd sort of been promised a fresh start, but it felt like we'd had several of those already. I don't know if you were feeling similar. I think we certainly, among us, had jokes about Nardole being brought back.
Mm.
Yeah.
And like
No.
we sort, I guess we all sort of face palms, going, "Oh no, why is he back?"
Yeah,
But
why is this
how
bumbling fool?
we were proven wrong so quickly, and how great he is.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, same with Bill. I think, like we've said before, we were sort of in our Edgelord phase. I think this was coming towards the end of it, at least. We
Yeah,
were
I would say
growing
so.
up. Yeah, we were growing up a bit now. But yeah, certainly we were a bit put off by, this series beforehand. We'd been promised change so many times before, and it had never really come, I think, until now. And it's still Moffat in style, but
But
a lot of it seems to work a lot better.
you have actually Capaldi's Doctor actually working, and writers actually writing for his Doctor now.
Hmm. He truly is the Doctor at this point, and they've sort of thrown off the idea of being, the Doctor, but he's got this darker side of, is he a good man? He's questioning himself. Or in series 9, they went for, he's the cool uncle who's not actually that cool. They would go
Yeah.
for that sort of vibe for him, the hipster Doctor. But now they sort of find their groove. They've still got elements of that within there as well.
Yes.
But it's not the dominating character trait. Instead, he is just the Doctor. And that gets to be perfectly summed up in The Doctor Falls.
And I think Series 10 is the embodiment of what the Doctor is as a character. And I think that's one thing Moffat gets, just the Doctor as a character and what he stands for.
I think what helps with Bill is that she gets to be a proper character for those 12 episodes. She doesn't have some mystery built around her. She is just a companion there for the journey and to ask questions.
She has her own superpowers and gimmicks when needed, like cyber conversion links back to the Monk trilogy. So it all pays off in the end, really.
Yeah. But it's stuff that happens to her throughout, not a mystery that she doesn't really have a say or a hand in. Instead, the story arc for this series is sort of like, well, for the first half, what's in the vault. For the second half, it's Missy's redemption, and that comes to a head in this story as well. So I suppose, do we have any little bits of trivia before we dive into the synopsis for World Enough and Time?
The opening shot was filmed alongside with Twice Upon a Time.
Yeah, along with the closing shot of the Dr. Falls, where David Bradley makes a surprise appearance.
I don't think it was a surprise because we had DWSR.
Yeah, true.
So it wasn't really like, oh, well, because we saw like this photo of the two TARDISes. We were like, all right, okay, we're getting that.
Yeah, I think we were getting rumours about it beforehand as well, weren't we?
Yes, yeah.
But certainly it was nice to see him at the end. Like, we all suspected it was coming, but it's like just a joy to have it confirmed, isn't it, in that moment? Especially after such a good episode. I think it ends really on a high there with David Bradley coming back. And I mean, it's funnily enough his first time properly playing the Doctor.
Yeah.
Because he hadn't recorded any of his big finishes at this point. Before this, it was only playing William Hartnell playing the Doctor, or just simply playing William Hartnell in An Adventure in Space and Time. And it's not even going to be the last time we see David Bradley as the first Doctor on this
his last day.
Marathon.
Last day,
Coming back again. Also, we had the Mondasian Cybermen return announced, didn't we? Like, just before they were on location filming.
Yeah, we had that real cool promo image, which I think is just a great, iconic image. in itself.
Yeah, it's like Capaldi in the hospital, isn't it? It almost looked like a school at the time.
Yeah, you thought, oh my god, is it class? No,
No,
no, don't want that.
why would they do? And it's what do you think of the redesign before we dive into the episode itself?
I think it's really sleek. I think it continues that clinical edge to it. I think with like you can see like the rubber gloves. I know people prefer the human hands, but I think that having the gloves makes it better for the Bill, a Cyberman, really.
Yeah, it sort of hides that reveal, doesn't it?
Yeah, it hides that.
And I think even then, like the clinical gloves, there's still something about that, isn't there, that works well.
I just think it's really smooth, and I'm glad that Capaldi got his wish, to be honest.
Yeah, it's very much like a gift to him for his final appearance, isn't it?
This is Capaldi's story, and I'm glad that, spoiler for the review, it paid off.
Yeah. I feel like the design looks slightly awkward from the side, like the way the back of the handle slopes. But other than that, I think it's a brilliant redesign of the classic version. It's got enough little new bits there, but it's very recognizable and very much just feels like an modern update of that original design, doesn't it? It doesn't feel like someone's trying to reinvent the wheel with it.
Well, again, this is a different clan of Cybermen from like 10th Planet and stuff, isn't it? Really, it's not maybe the same fraction, so I guess there would be slight tweaks in development and all that sort of thing.
Yeah, you've got the lamp on top is now a cannon for this one.
A bit of Revenge of Cybermen, which is great.
Yeah,
uses the nesting sound effects, which is bizarre.
But classic Who was always reusing sound effects and music.
I mean, it's a cool sound effects.
Yeah, it suits it. And then you've also got the electric arms as well, sort of copied from the Age of Steel Cybermen, but done in a different way. And like the bands on the arms, they sort of seem to be what generate the electricity.
You still have the chest unit. You see Bill use it.
Although now sort of like the bit on the bottom's attached, isn't it? Rather than a separate light they carry around as they go.
I guess that's just so it doesn't fall off and is less bulky.
Yeah, it's a bit more streamlined, that bit at the bottom there.
Yes.
Also, John Sim returning as the Master. Again, not the first time he's appeared on this in this series. Because we had him at the end of the time, and now we're following up on what happens to him after that story here. And I mean, he's brilliant here, isn't he? I feel like this is him at his best. Yeah,
this is definitely his best performance as the Master.
Yeah, he finally got to have the goatee because when he found out he was cast as the Master back in 2006, it would have been, wouldn't it? He said to Russell, "Oh, should I grow out a goatee for it and go for that?" But Russell was like, "No, I want to do my own thing with it," and went the Prime Minister angle instead, which is fair enough. But it's nice to finally have that here, isn't it? The goatee, the classic look, old school for a change. And it suits him so well.
Yeah, I think this is his best look as well.
Yeah, and the best writing for him, funnily enough.
You've got elements of like what Russell was going for, of like the maniac thing, but I sort of saw a bit of Sasha's Master in Johnson in this rewatch.
I see more of Delgado's even, not just down to the goatee, but also just the attitude he has, or maybe a bit of Derek as well.
Yeah,
he's got more of a suaveness to him. I think because you've got Missy there, more of the madness can be pushed onto her a little bit. But then even she's certainly changed a lot since when she first appeared. I mean, Deep Breath yesterday was her first appearance. So we're coming full circle with her as well for her final appearance in the series. But I think they nicely contrast each other, whereas previously they did have more similarities. I think in terms of the madness / bananas angle they went for. But anyway, shall I tackle World Enough and Time now?
Yeah, try and time dilation it.
Yeah, I'll see if I could go a bit quick this one. See if we could get a record here.
Go on.
But yeah, so Capaldi arrives in the snow on his own, about to regenerate. Title sequence, and now we are thrown into a story where Missy is pretending to be Doctor Who. The Doctor is sort of trialing her, isn't he? Seeing if she can be good. So with Nardole and Bill as her companions, they arrive on a spaceship, which is miles long and reversing away from a black hole. So time is being affected. It has a much faster bottom, as John Sim wonderfully puts it later on. So time passes very slowly at the top of the ship where they are, but towards the bottom, things are going a lot slower. Some crew were sent down to reverse the engines, and then suddenly they had a whole new population towards the bottom of the ship in this city down towards the engines. Blue guy up top pulls a gun on everyone because something is coming up for the humans, or human. One of the new arrivals is a human, and it is Bill. The Doctor comes out to try and save Day, try and talk him down, but he fails. Bill is shot right through the heart. It's quite a striking image, isn't it? I imagine that must have been terrifying for children. But she's not dead, not quite yet. These creatures, I think top knots, aren't they called?
Yeah, because I guess, yeah.
I don't know if it's the official designation, but I think it's what they've become known as.
I just say patients.
Yeah,
patient or whatever.
Yeah.
Or scarecrows.
They're not quite Cybermen just yet, aren't they? But they're a step along the way. You know, they've got that. It's that wonderful keyboards, isn't it, where they speak through. It is very much a halfway stage. So Bill is saved and taken to the hospital at the bottom of the ship, where she now has a new heart and a new friend called Razor, who takes care of her, takes her in, gives her some bad tea. They have a few laughs along the way as Bill waits for the Doctor to come and rescue her, because she spends about 10 years while the Doctor spends 2 minutes, you know, explaining what's going on, knocking out the blue guy, and then heading down to the bottom of the ship. But he arrives just too late because Razor has tricked Bill into the conversion theatre, as her chest won't last forever, a new heart. And so they've got a way to stop her feeling pain as well. There's a new advancement in technology there. These handles that fit over her head. So the Doctor, Nardole, and Missy arrive at the bottom. Missy checks the database to work out where this ship is from and finds it is from Mondas. But that's not the only surprise waiting for her down there, because she is also joined by Razor, who loves disguises, and it turns out is actually the Master himself, her previous incarnation. Meanwhile, the Doctor and Nardole have a surprise in store for them, because in a cupboard is a Cyberman, a Mondasian Cyberman. The Doctor asks it to locate Bill Potts using its data network, and it reveals that it is Bill Potts. And then the Master and Missy come along to tell the Doctor that this is the genesis of the Cybermen. How was that? Was that a good time?
That was rapid. Blimey. It's like you scripted it.
Maybe I did.
Maybe. Oh, okay.
That's the secret now.
No, I don't even know.
I feel like it's a fairly simple episode, because it is a bit of a slow burn, isn't it? But it's filled with wonderful character moments that make the ending that much more heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And also is just more about the horrific visuals of, you know, cyber conversion, the top knots, the halfway stage, the pain sequence. There's lots of wonderful stuff there, which I'm sure we'll discuss after you've gone through the Doctor Falls. Take it away.
I don't know if I'll be as quick as that.
It's a longest episode, to be fair, and I think it has a bit more going on. So see how you do.
So
I've got Twice Upon a Time after this. So.
Yeah. So we start off on this solar farm where we have like these children arriving at floor 507, and it turns out that the cyber patients now being used as scarecrows, and everything seems to be, you know, life as normal until this little shuttle bursts through the floor, and we see a Cyberman, or Cyber Bill, holding the Doctor, and we get a flashback on how they went to this situation, as we have Nardole being a snake, leaving the 12th Doctor, to be tortured by Missy and the Master as they're contemplating how to kill him. Like, we know you've fallen. Is he going to be drowned? We're just going to keep chucking him off. You don't know how many regeneration lives they've got. So while they've been planning, the Doctor's had a plan in action as he's changed the sort of human database, changed a 1 to a 2 for 2 hearts. Now the Cybermen are all converging towards this hospital to begin the exodus and convert the Doctor and the Master and Missy. But Nardol's there to rescue them in the shuttle. The Doctor gets zapped, but Cyber Bill saves them, and they go off to the farm and try and work out how they can stop this exodus.
You've got that wonderful joke, haven't you? Moffat loves these little witty lines where, the Master gets up there, says, "The Doctor's dead, told me he always hated you, let's go." And then Missy comes up and says the same thing, but Nardol's like, "Heard you the first time." It's wonderful how, even in these quite serious moments where the Doctor's lying, possibly dead on the floor, Moffat still manages to get humour in there without... It's not a joke that compromises the drama.
Yeah, it's sort of dark comedy in a way.
Yeah, and I think the same is true throughout a lot of this. And I mean, the Master and Missy are ripe for dark comedy, aren't they?
Yeah, they are definitely the characters for it.
Yeah, sorry, continue.
So after that, it's been about 2 weeks. They've all sort of settled in. Bill's living in a barn because she doesn't want to. She's scaring people because she's a Cyberman. And this is when we get the revelation that she's fighting the cyber conversion. But she has an image of actual Bill, and that's all beautifully done, direction-wise.
Like the reveal in the mirror.
I think that was all a one shot as well. So it's like very impressive stuff. When we get sort of a nice little scene with John Sim taunting her, it was worth it just for this moment. And this is when we find... Oh,
yeah, you got the Master saying, "Well, doesn't that just take all the fun out of cruelty?"
Yeah. Oh, it's good. It's all good. This is when they find out that they've discovered a lift and they can call it because, the Cybermen are on their way. But now the Cybermen know exactly where they are. And this is when action stations begin to try and evacuate the children. And that's when we get quite a dark revelation of why the Cybermen want children, because it's less waste, which is just really horrible stuff.
Yeah, I mean, there's that great line earlier from Missy about Bill's conversion, where they're like, I can't remember it exactly, but it's, she's squeezed through a blender and pumped into a Cyberman, all the waste is thrown away. Yeah. It's brutal, isn't it? And I think it really does paint the reality of the horror that Bill has gone through here.
So we get sort of action stations with the plan. With a kid throwing an apple because Nardol's updated the tech to sort of trick the Cybermen that, we might have primitive stuff, but we can alter it to make sure we have bigger weapons. So
he's like igniting fuel lines underneath the surface, isn't he?
Yes.
And using that to trick the Cybermen into believing that the weapons are actually causing these big explosions.
So after that, we have an emotional scene as the Doctor says goodbye to Nardole and says, basically, go, you look after these kids because one of us isn't strong enough to do it. So off Nardi goes with his new bit of peace on the side and takes the kids. And it's left for the Doctor and Bill to give them time as the Cybermen arrive. Beautiful scene between those two.
Yeah. We have another very strong scene before that as well, where the Master and Missy decide they're going to leave.
Yeah, because about the dematerialization circuit.
Yeah, I mean, that was a nice little prop, wasn't it?
Little mini one.
Yeah. I suppose it's maybe one of the ones from the time machines from Day of the Daleks.
It probably
had a mini one.
It probably is. It probably is.
But I think that speech is where it's the summary of who the Doctor is, isn't it? It's where this episode gets its title from. It is very much the summation of this two-parter, as the Doctor tells Missy and the Master, where I stand is where I fall, and it's beautiful stuff. but they're not quite well. The Master certainly isn't interested. Missy seems slightly swayed, but is going off with former self anyway. Another beautiful line, well, not beautiful, but hilarious line is the Master just going, "Me and the Missus are off."
And off they go to stab each other on the back. The perfect ending for these characters. Because there's a little theory about when the Doctor grabs Missy, that he can feel the knife.
Oh, yeah. Maybe he could.
Because the way they look at each other, it's like there's a knowing thing there. And she just sort of shakes him off. So I like to think that is true.
I prefer it as the Doctor just thinks that Missy has run off, really.
Okay.
Because for me, that makes
more of a tragedy.
What ends up happening, yeah. Because, the whole thing of the Doctor, like he says towards the end, is, without witness, without reward.
Again, and, very Doctor thing.
Yeah. And that's sort of the summation of, him being a good man, really. And so for Missy to do what she does and she intends to help the Doctor before getting shot by the Master. The fact that the Doctor never knows that is that for Missy, it is without witness. It is without reward because it's technically only her there.
Yeah.
Previous incarnation. And so it makes her turn to good that much more meaningful in that she's not being good just for the Doctor's approval. She's being good for good in itself. And I think it's a wonderful end to Missy's arc.
Yeah, it's a good sort of way to round off the redemption thing. Really. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. Such a good episode. But yeah, sorry. You've still got a little bit more to go.
A little bit more.
We cut into the review a little bit there. Finish us off.
So we've got explosions, Doctor blowing up Cybermen because he's downloaded Nardi's technology. So we've got Reference Central, weird Cybermen walking.
Yeah. Planet 14, Mondas Marinus.
Yes, it's all lovely stuff.
Yeah, reference to the World Shapers.
Yeah. And then the Doctor is shot down because Doctors are not required. And, he is the original, you might say, which is a nice bit of foreshadowing to where this story ends. But the Doctor's like, nah, blows him up. And we have this wasteland of where the forest used to be. And we have Bill roaming around and finding the Doctor. And Bill is suddenly back to how she was as Puddle Lady's back, Heather. Where there's tears, there's hope. And Heather and Bill put the Doctor in the TARDIS and go, right, we're off to see the universe now. See you later. And then Doctor wakes up and he's refusing to regenerate because he's just fed up of being somebody else. And the TARDIS takes him to the snowy tundra where he meets his first incarnation. Right then, I guess it's time for the juicy stuff. Not talking about the remains of Bill Potts being filtered and pulped.
You're talking about the tea.
Yes.
The bad tea.
Or the good tea. Positive mindset. What do you make of it? I think positive mindset here.
Oh, definitely.
Oh, and good.
Will help with the horror that's to come tomorrow.
Too early?
Oh, maybe.
I don't know.
We'll see. I haven't watched Woman Who Fell to Earth in a while, so we'll see. It might have improved. But for now, this is a story I have revisited a few times since broadcast, this two-parter. But it shocks me each time just how good it is. Like, watching it this time, I'm just soaking in more of the greatness. So much strong subtext here. So much great stuff about who the Doctor is. It's wonderful that in this final series, Moffat really nailed it down, didn't he? He realised he doesn't have to go bigger and better here. Instead, he just needs some small stakes, little... It's just this group of people on the run from some Cybermen, really. But there's very little hope for escape here. The Doctor can't quite make it to TARDIS. Even if this group of this little farming community manages to make it a few floors up, it's only really buying them time, isn't it? It's not saving them forever. It
No.
is just a small reprieve that the Doctor is sacrificing himself to buy them. And there's no one coming along to step in to make the sacrifice for him this time. It is just him making a stand, and it is where he falls ultimately. It brilliantly sums up the character of the Doctor and is the perfect end for the 12th Doctor, really. And then you get this nice little epilogue afterwards, which we will talk about as well. But just brilliant stuff, isn't it?
It's Capaldi. I'm not saying Capaldi never brought his A game, but this is Capaldi. Really,
he's bringing 110%.
Yeah, he really is. I think with the work he's given, just Capaldi's one of those great at internalizing, and Moffat's great at picking up about characters' little eccentricities. And yeah, Moffat really writes for those, and I think you get it with every character. Like, you've seen the journey of Missy, this TARDIS team, and just everything's fallen into place so right with this story.
Yeah, I mean, the Master within this, I think we sort of said with End of Time, he seems to work better as an agent of chaos almost, doesn't he?
Yes.
And Missy as well, rather than being the main threat. And so it's nice that they're sort of dealt with pretty early on in the story, really. But they don't feel like they're hanging around as spare parts, even though in terms of the plot, they don't really do much. They still mean a lot thematically to the story.
I think this is the only story where you have the Master and Cybermen, where, in terms of the new series stuff, where the Cybermen stay central villain.
Yeah, it is, and I mean, it's it almost becomes a running joke, doesn't it? Because it's every other series from Series 8 that you have Master Cyberman team up as the finale. But here, it's finally done in a way that works, because it's not quite a team up, and instead the Cybermen are just treated as a force of nature, aren't they? They are there to take people away. Yeah,
which is great, but they're a constant.
It's a wonderful, many wonderful speeches in this story. You know, that whole parallel evolution thing.
Yeah, it's a glorious story, one of the best of the new series. It's definitely up there for like Bad Wolf Parting the Ways, I think.
For me, I probably enjoyed this more than Bad Wolf Parting of the Ways on this rewatch.
Probably because you've not seen it that much compared to that two-parter.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, we mentioned it with End of Time as well. A lot of that probably just does come down to, you know, growing up, that was such a go-to one. You've got Daleks, you've got an army of Daleks even. It's a finale, it's exciting. It is, you know, a very popular watch. Whereas this one now, I have seen a lot less. I have seen it a few, probably more than most Capaldi stories, I think. But yeah, this is the Capaldi story I've watched the most, I'd say.
I'm quite right to say.
And yeah, it blows me away each time.
It's the best the Cybermen have been in the new series.
Yeah, I'd say especially the Doctor Falls gets better for me each time, because there's sort of that initial reaction upon the first watch to think, oh, you've sort of wasted some of the more horror side of things that you had going for World Enough and Time.
Yes.
But instead, once you get down to the thematic side of it, you see how much this means as a summation of the character of the Doctor. And, you know, you've still got all that horror stuff there in part. And certainly, you have enough of it in World Enough and Time for it to be the focus there, that you don't need it too much of it here.
Because you get families in, like, the start of Dr. Falls being, like, guided by the Cybermen to be converted. Like, they don't have, like, the earpod things in them. They're just genuinely being forced to go this time, which makes it more horrific. But there's no consent there.
It's a terrifying image of just this whole city being turned into a factory for Cybermen. You know, all those ones in the window and such. I mean, I wonder if that Doctor's still around, like, calling the shots, or if it's, you know, automated now. The Cybermen have taken over and are doing the operations themselves.
Or they've become a cyber planet, I don't know.
Yeah, that could be the case, couldn't it? I mean, the Razor reveal, I think you saw it coming, didn't you? First watch.
No. Never
didn't?
saw it. Never saw it coming.
Oh, I didn't either.
No, it was a great little
Oh,
thing going because, like, John Sim's in it, and then the more you watch it, the more you're like, that's John Sim. Like, but first watch, I didn't suspect it at all.
I think because I was so sucked into the story itself,
Yeah,
I sort of didn't say forget John Sim was in it, but it just gets tucked to the back of your mind, doesn't it? And I mean, we knew that because it was sort of he was spotted on location filming, wasn't he? Perhaps it was a Delgado recast, but no, it was the John Sim master, and then they formally announced it because they knew it had leaked. They put him in the trailer, didn't they, for at the end of the pilot? But nevertheless, it's a brilliant cliffhanger, World Enough and Time. Like, watching it even this many times on, knowing it's coming, it's not just the shock value that works, is it? It's the way the episode builds to it. It is the music, it is the performance.
Yes.
Gives me goosebumps.
The music's got this wonderful, ethereal thing to it, hasn't it? Which I think really suits for Cybermen because it's like Ascension.
Yeah.
To quote a Jodie story.
You have the drum beat there as well, don't you?
Yeah. It just everything just marries together and it's just chef kiss.
Yeah. The way that the master reveal is done at the same time as the Bill Potts Cyberman reveal, the way they cut back and forth between them.
It's just sucker punch after sucker punch.
Yeah. I mean, before that, you've got the Mondas reveal as well, don't you? Which might be one sort of problem I have with the story. Just like logically.
Okay, here we go.
Is this ship constructed on Mondas? And it's a, colony ship going from another planet from Mondas? Or is it a colony ship made somewhere that's heading to Mondas to pick up Mondasians?
I would say it is from Mondas.
Then where's it going?
To find refuge.
But it's not got any colonists on it.
That's just my little headcanon.
Yeah, but Blue Guy says, they were going to pick up colonists. It's Freshman Factory going to pick up colonists. So did Mondas have an empire at one point? Did they maybe have a second planet where they did all their construction of these ships and then it was heading to Mondas to pick them up?
Well, if the 80s had its way, we would have got a proper Genesis Cybermen story with like a king of Mondas and all that.
Oh, all right. I'm happy we got Spare Parts instead.
Yeah, Spare Parts sounds like a much better story. And I think this is the thing going back to this story, is that a lot of people worried about, will this damage the reputation of Spare Parts? But both can coexist perfectly fine.
Yeah, that's what's great about this with the whole parallel evolution thing. It allows for, every version of the Cyberman origin story to be canon, really. Everything to work. And I mean, speaking of Big Finish as well, World Enough in Time was also the title of a River story.
Yeah, series 2.
Yeah. And yet it wasn't even the first time it happened, because this very series we had Thin Ice as well as the third episode.
Yeah.
Series. If I had a penny for every series 10 episode that copied a Big Finish title, I'd have 2 pennies.
You'd be rich.
Isn't much, but it's weird that it happened twice.
Yeah. Great stuff.
Yeah. I mean, speaking of great stuff, should we give this a rating, or do you have any last thoughts on this two-parter?
Best Cyberman story in the new series, and it proves that Cybermen are great. I think, the Cybermen are the villain that messes the Doctor up the most.
They took Adric.
Yeah.
Now Bill.
Yeah, so I thought Dalek's got nothing on Cybermen.
Yeah. And again, it sort of copies a similar Moffat trope we mentioned back in Time of the Doctor of, characters spending a long time somewhere, except in this instance, it's Bill being stuck in this city for a long while, waiting for the Doctor to come to rescue her. And that just adds to the tragedy of her conversion, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does. Because she's a character full of hope and optimism, really.
And you imagine the Master was always timing it for that as well.
Yeah.
Like, he says that he missed her by, just a few minutes, but it always would have been that way. No matter what the Doctor did, the Master had enough time there to realise, he's going for the lift. Let's get her into the conversion theatre.
Just that whole sequence of him being like a burglar is great.
Oh, it's wonderful, isn't it, with the mask?
Yeah.
And then, the fact that it's John Sim in all this prosthetics, so he just takes the burger mask off and goes, you see through my cunning disguise.
It's brilliant. It is so
Ray,
brilliant.
Ray's is such a fun character. And you do have those heartwarming moments with him, which are just made even worse knowing that, he is just there to betray Bill, really.
Yeah.
And he's just doing it just for cruelty. He's spending these 10 years just to fuck with the Doctor. Which is, it's bad. There's no massive evil scheme. He's not trying to take over the universe or anything. He's just being cruel for the sake of it, which just adds to Missy's redemption in the end, doesn't it? The fact that she does feel bad for this, then eventually turns it around. Just so much good stuff. So many great, exciting moments, and just the perfect, like I say, summation of the character of the Doctor here.
Should we rate it?
Should we go 10?
I can only agree with a 10. Is this one of your? No, I don't think it's your first 10 because of caves.
Yeah, that's true.
You've been very harsh.
I've been stingy with the 10s.
Yeah, I've been just going 10.
Yeah, you've been giving 10s to everyone. I've sort of been reserved a bit more, but I feel like I can.
Yeah.
Knowing that nothing's topping this coming up, I think I can give out my last 10 now.
Okay. All right. Okay.
I mean, it was close to I would have said 9 before this rewatch, but I don't. There's not really anything that particularly bothers me about it. Like the whole logical plot hole with Mondas, it doesn't really matter to the story. Like the story still works without that. It's just one little scene.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm fine with it. Yeah, I love this two-parter. It's such a joy to revisit and a joy to discuss with you here.
Yeah, it's a wonderful one.
So after this, we have the Doctor meeting his first incarnation, and that takes us into Twice Upon a Time. Do we have any little bits of trivia for this story?
On the control of the first Doctor TARDIS, there's a little Bernard Wilkie switch, which is one of the set designers from the 60s and 70s.
Oh, I see.
It's a nice little Easter egg. You've got Toby Whithouse as the German soldier. I think everyone knows that.
Nah. Mark Gatiss, of course, getting his final role in Doctor Who. Final involvement in the show. It's
a bit like Michael Sheard, isn't it? Type of situation. I was thinking about when watching. I was like, it's very sort of Michael Sheard.
Yeah, because he has appeared a couple of times before this. Yeah, I think so, done little cameos. He played that character with the eye patch in Series 6, didn't he?
Gavrock.
Yeah. And then, of course, Professor Lazarus back in Series 3. But here he is playing...
Danny Boy. From Victory of the Daleks.
Oh, yeah, of course. But here he is playing the Brigadier's dad. Or is it Grandad? It's dad, isn't it?
I guess I'd assume so.
Yeah, I don't think they explicitly say. They say he's got a son.
Well, 2 sons, isn't it?
But yeah, they don't explicitly say, that he would be the dad. They don't say his son is Alistair or anything.
Just keep an eye on him.
Yeah, keep an eye on the family. And, first Doctor's like, I'll do my best. And 12th Doctor's like, you will, I mean, yeah, that all then comes down to Kate as well. So the line continues. So he really does keep an eye on the family going forward. It's a very fitting role. It's quite a small cast, this one, as well.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So
and a story with no stakes at all, really.
No, which I think helps it be that nice little epilogue, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because you've had all the stakes. This isn't trying to repeat or upstage the Doctor Falls. It's just trying to complement it nicely on the end here, isn't it, really? As the Doctor refuses to regenerate at the North Pole. Do we have any last bits of trivia, or shall I dive into the
I say dive in before, the testimony come and grab us.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully we won't be here that long. Hopefully our deaths aren't anytime soon. But the Doctor and the Doctor are at the North Pole when suddenly time freezes, the snow stops around them, and they are joined by a soldier from World War One. Or he's a captain, isn't he, from World War One?
Yeah, it's just called the captain,
Yeah.
isn't it? Really?
Yeah. And he sort of have a repeat of a gag from the Day of the Doctor, where he's like, "Are you if you a doctor?" But instead of the "This is your lucky day" line, it's Capaldi going, "Are you having a laugh? What's the line?"
You try and be funny.
He tried to be funny. Yeah, that's it. Which, I mean, it's a simple gag. It works, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And so they bring him aboard the TARDIS, but it's not what the first Doctor was expecting. It's been done up a bit, and he hates it. You know, as is always the way.
It's the best console.
Yeah. It's got too much dust on it. Polly's not around.
Oh.
And he's also been at the brandy. Yeah, the first Doctor takes a while to accept that the 12th Doctor is his future. I know he's a bit shocked to find out that he's getting older. But yeah, they're trying to work out exactly how this World War One captain ended up here. He tells them a story of how, he felt like his number was up. He was in a crater with a German soldier. They didn't understand each other, holding a gun on each other. And then suddenly time froze and he was picked up by this mysterious glass woman. And then suddenly ended up at the North Pole. As it turns out, she kidnapped him to download something from him, to take something
timeline error.
For his assigned death. Yeah, a timeline error threw him out before that. But they are coming back for him. They're coming to correct time. And so the TARDIS is picked up and hoisted into the testimony ship where they meet the woman made of glass. And she offers the Doctor a chance to speak to her one last time in exchange for the captain's life. And her is Bill Potts. She emerges from the shadows, tells the story of how she pulled, which saved her life, which is why she's no longer a Cyberman. But there might be something more going on there. So the Doctor gets a nice reunion, but it's also a bit quizzical of Bill, isn't he? Yeah, he's not 100% trusting yet.
He's scanning her.
Yeah. Meanwhile, the first Doctor in his scans, scanning with his eyes, because he isn't about waving toys around. He is all about noticing details himself, and he notices that the glass lady would have been a real woman at one point, because it's not symmetrical.
Asymmetrical, isn't it?
Yeah, as all humans are, because that's just the nature of things. Have you seen that picture of Harrison Ford? Where
Yes.
it shows how different the two sides of his face are. And he looks like, that's a brilliant one. But yeah, because if it was just simply an android, they'd have made it symmetrical for, ease, really. Saves the data if you just got the same side flipped. But yeah, with this information, they then make a daring escape in the TARDIS and then run off to the First Doctor's TARDIS instead and go to find a database where they can work out who this woman is. The Matrix of Gallifrey won't be big enough. They need something bigger. And so the 12th Doctor instead goes to meet an old friend, Rusty. And he works out that testimony is just there to collect knowledge from people, really. It's from New Earth, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is it even from New York again?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Yeah. It's just a research station there where they are going throughout history, collecting the testimony of people before they die so that, some knowledge of humanity can be carried forward, really. And that people get moments with lost loved ones, because what is a person but the summary of their memories? And so there's no evil plan for a change. And the Doctor then agrees to take the captain back to his appointed death, but he shifts things forward slightly in time. Any other day, it wouldn't have mattered, but this is a human miracle. This is the Christmas armistice, which perfect for a Christmas special, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, perfect for a John Lewis advert as well.
No, it was Sainsbury's advert, it was.
It was Sainsbury's, wasn't it?
Yeah, good advert.
I'm sure John Lewis will get around to it at some point as well once, the
Oh,
Sainsbury's heat has died down. When enough time passes that they can get away with not being accused of copying, then they'll do it. So, yes, we get this wonderful moment where he survives. He also asks the Doctor to keep an eye on his family going forward, the Lethbridge Stewarts. And then the First Doctor and 12th Doctor say their goodbyes, and the 12th Doctor goes off to regenerate. The 12th Doctor gets one last goodbye with Bill Nardole, gets his memories of Clara back as she makes a little cameo appearance here, sort of awkwardly filmed.
Screen.
Yeah, because it's obvious that they weren't together for this, and I sort of burst out laughing a bit when it happened, just because of the meme of blank, you're back.
Yes.
I've seen it so many times now that I couldn't watch that scene without thinking of that. So I was just, had a smile on my face. Not because I was happy Clara was back, but because it's a funny meme.
You're a secret Clara fan.
No. I'm a proud Bill fan, though, and Nardole. And it's wonderful them getting their hug goodbye at the end here as they send the Doctor off and let him make his choice whether he wants to regenerate or not. He decides that he will regenerate, says something about children, and then...
Don't eat pears.
Yeah, don't eat pears. Be kind, laugh hard, gives some advice for the next incarnation. And then here she is, Jodie Whittaker, the 13th Doctor. First female incarnation has arrived. Presses a button, TARDIS goes all wrong. She gets thrown out of it and is falling to Earth. And that is the end of the 12th Doctor's era. And it's a beautiful little episode, I think.
It's an episode that has a lot of stigma around it, because obviously with what we get with the Doctor Falls and More Than Enough in Time, but it's such an action-orientated story, you kind of expect Capaldi to have that action send-off, but he's had it already.
Yeah, and it doesn't undercut that, though, because that is still very much his almost send-off, isn't it? This is just the epilogue, really. There's no other reason for him to regenerate. The regeneration cause is from the Dr. Falls still.
Yeah, I mean, Twice Upon a Time shouldn't exist. It was only because Moffat wanted to fight so Doctor could keep the Christmas slot for a year, but obviously Chibnall was like, I don't want it. So Twice Upon a Time's a bit like Legend of the Sea Devil in a way, where it's an episode we shouldn't really have, but we have it.
Yeah, it's a nice little bonus in this case. And I think it's wonderful getting the First Doctor here, because having a returning Doctor in a regeneration episode shouldn't quite work, should it? But
No.
The fact that it's mirroring them both not wanting to change, I think, is a wonderful way to go about it. And also, they both have a fight with the Cyberman, which serves as their send-off. They are still working as their final story, so this is them coming together for a brief little epilogue, really, isn't it?
Yeah, what's nice about this is it parallels Deep Breath as well.
How does it do that?
I'm trying to remember, but I remember going, that links back to Deep Breath of sort of veils and all that sort of thing happening within this story.
That's true. Yeah, the Doctor's certainly keeping his reasons for not wanting to regenerate hidden right up until the end, isn't it? And then I think it's a nice way of going about it. It's not the same as, the 10th Doctor not wanting to go. It's not about vanity. It's not about him wanting to keep the same phase. It's just about the Doctor, as is said often in the 10th Doctor's era, everything has its time and everything dies. The 12th Doctor finally did have his time, actually.
Yeah.
But then he was brought back, and he's sort of at this point where, he just wants to accept that, it's time to rest. It's time to leave the universe in other people's hands. But instead, he decides to go on in the end and help more people. And, I suppose it's sort of mirrored by the fact that he realizes that if the First Doctor doesn't regenerate, then he won't, go on to save all the people he does save. So the 12th Doctor realizes, there are more people out there who need his help. And again, it's a wonderful summation of who the Doctor is, isn't it? But in a different way.
Yeah.
with that scene between Glass Bill and the First Doctor.
Yeah, about why you run away and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And the fact that he doesn't quite realise that he is the reason that good triumphs in the end in the universe.
It's got lovely little character moments like that, but then it can have awful character moments within a split second.
How are you on how the First Doctor trained in this story then? Because I feel like that's one of the main points of contention when this gets discussed online.
I was really enjoying the story up until the 10-minute mark.
Oh.
And then we got to the bit where it started to get a bit heated. And I think because we've just had the season 2 box set, and you're watching that and you see how the First Doctor is, and it doesn't sit right with me.
Yeah, I can see that. It certainly is more of a caricature or so, isn't it?
It's putting 60s values on an alien being.
But they certainly were there at times.
Yeah.
Never as overtly as this, and certainly.
But it doesn't come across as parody. Only time it comes across as parody is the smack bottom bit when he's like, "You're an arse."
Yeah.
That's the only time where it comes across as, "Oh, that's parody." Whereas it's because it's played straight. It just seems a bit awkward. Because like the Polly thing, like Polly was barely there in the TARDIS to clean.
Yeah.
Like it's like Moffat didn't have an understanding of how the First Doctor's time worked.
But at the same time, I think I can see why he chose to go for that, because it is about being embarrassed about your past and how your values change over time, really. And I mean, certainly we can relate to that as well. Like we said earlier about our edgelord phase.
Yeah.
We certainly didn't see women quite the way the First Doctor is portrayed as seeing women in this story. But yeah, I think certainly our views have changed since this episode was broadcast as well. And so it's funny the Doctor actually does get to see his former views put to him and realizes how much he's changed as time's gone on. But yeah, as you say, it's very much 60s values being placed upon a character who's sort of meant to be a bit beyond that.
Yeah.
And even at the time was portrayed as beyond that, really.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, I had a good laugh with it.
Once I get past that and we get back to the battlefield stuff, I'm all over it. The Vanguard thing's a nice callback from Empty Child.
Yeah.
Rusty, what the oddest cameo comeback ever.
Very much. Yeah, that certainly was. I mean, it was rumoured before, wasn't it?
Yeah, we all sort of laughed it off, and I remember Christmas Eve being on call with everyone and just going, "If Rusty's back, we're partying good, boys," and he was back.
I remember seeing a meme from Dalek, like not long before, where people were saying, "Oh, we're going to get an exciting cameo," and then it's Stephen Moffat, and then it's the screenshot from Dalek saying, "You're going to get Rusty."
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's a nice little surprise, and it's a nice way to bring things full circle for the 12th Doctor, isn't it? But yeah, as for like you say about the smack bottom line, I think what's wonderful about that is that immediately after a good laugh, you have quite a heartfelt scene between Bill and the 12th Doctor where she says, "I hope we laugh about this for years to come." And it does pull at the heartstrings.
Yeah, she's like, "Oh, they're such a good TARDIS crew."
Yeah. And I mean, Capaldi's great with the comedic timing of that as well, where he's like, "Can we pretend that never happened?"
Yeah.
And just the pan to his face after the First Doctor pops out. Yeah, speaking of the First Doctor, that TARDIS set.
It's gorgeous.
It
gorgeous.
Is.
It's gorgeous.
There's like a tendency to over-design things now that we're in HD. I think you can tell with that going simple isn't a bad thing. It still works.
Yes.
And it's gorgeous for that. I love the it sort of flashes forward more to Pyramids of Mars, doesn't it? When you're looking out the doors.
Yeah, especially when you get on the Vanguard thing.
But I prefer the otherworldliness of the doors in that, they are sort of their own separate dimension.
Hmm.
Where, here you don't see the exterior doors opening inwards, do you? You see
No.
the interior TARDIS doors. It's nice they kept that. And yeah, it suits it very well. And I like that in some classic stories they painted the other side of the doors blue, didn't they? To almost try and make it seem like it's the exterior doors. But you can very much tell it isn't. Here, they don't bother with that. They go full 60s and it works. It's good. I mean, actually, no, it's not quite Pyramids of Mars. It is in the Daleks as well, is where you first... Because you see when Susan looks out the door at the end of episode 2, she sees the Skaro jungle, doesn't she?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
So it was a technique they used right back to then, and then sort of came back to for that flash forward in Pyramids of Mars. They didn't really do it that often after that.
Now, Twice Upon a Time is an hour long, but there is a speculation that there is a Talele cut, as there was a load of deleted stuff with them recreating the 10th planet more, as we had a questionable recast of Ben and Polly.
Yeah, you sort of had an extended version of the previously bit, didn't you? Out there. And I mean, just for a second, how brilliant was that? The way it's implemented,
I think that's great. Yeah.
The fact that we are flashing back 51 years at that point, wouldn't it have been, to the 10th planet, and getting that scenes there, seeing them in, New Who, really. It's so unashamedly proud of where it's come from at this point. I think that's something wonderful about Twice Upon a Time.
It's amazing that they recreated the set just for that tiny nugget.
I mean, there would have been a bit more, like we said, from what we've seen deleted.
Yeah.
And I mean, you also have the World Enough for Time Cybermen there, don't you? I think even using their headcanon.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's such a faithful and brilliant recreation of that set.
It's great for like the Radio Times photo shoot with Capaldi and David Bradley.
He must have been loving that.
You've got him holding like the first Doctor Annual as well, and it's just it's so good.
I mean, is that the same annual that they did a recreation of with David Bradley?
No, it's the Hartnell one this time, I think, from memory. But I think it was the Hartnell one.
Yeah, but it was the same one with the
same
Red
style
Planet stuff going on.
Same
the
style.
Yeah, same year.
Yeah,
and it's a wonderful set. The recasts less so, but they're only there for a minute. We can forgive them. He's no Elliot Chapman, bless him.
It goes back to the thing because you're so familiar with the lines in your head. It's like, that's not right.
Yeah, it throws it off even more, doesn't it? Really.
Yeah.
I mean, you do have that line that sort of tries to explain why the first Doctor's a bit different.
I like that.
Yeah.
I think that's a good thing about Moffat. He's finding ways of do it like Time Crash, but because the timelines are all merging, that's why he's a bit older. Davison, like stuff like that. He's thinking of us just staying up all night, going, "Why is he like this?"
For me, I feel like you need it for Davison, with him being that much older, like noticeably so. But I don't know if you necessarily needed it for Bradley, just because we've already had a First Doctor recast in the form of Richard Herndl, who was quite different anyway.
I just think it's a nice little nod to he's regenerating, so it's happening really.
Yeah, that's true. But then the 12th Doctor's not changing much.
Because they're in a state of temporal grace, it's fine.
I mean, he's meant to be regenerating, but I suppose he's got the longer hair, the sign of discovered Jodie.
Capaldi's edging.
He's never looked better than he has in this story.
I would say Dr. Falls is peak Capaldi look for me.
I think they're both very strong, both very close.
But he's really got the Pertwee bouffant in full swing. Yeah.
Full on frock there, isn't it?
Yeah, it's wonderful. And I love the tatty jacket.
Hmm. It's nice that you could tell he's been through a lot before this story. You could tell he's about to regenerate just by the state of him.
And because you've got like the red lining as well, it's like blood. So you're like, oh, bless him.
Poor man. He's been through a lot. He wants his rest, but we're not going to let him have it because we want more Doctor Who.
Some people will say that it should have died with Capaldi.
Well, I mean, some people say it should have died with Tennant. So
That's true. Which Tennant we talking about? 14 or?
Yeah, well, you never know. They might say it again this time in a couple of years. We'll see. But yeah, I mean, if we hadn't got the Chibnall era, we might not be getting the second Great and Bountiful Russell era now. So, swings and roundabouts. You've got to take the rough with the smooth.
Yeah.
But shall we rate this now?
Yeah, we can do.
I think it's an 8 out of 10 from me.
Okay.
Because it's just a nice little bonus on the end there, really. And it's not trying to be big. It's not trying to upstage Doctor Falls or anything. It's just trying to tide you over a little bit until Woman Who Fell to Earth. Give you a little bit of a bonus. Give you some fun with the first Doctor back again. And yeah, it's nice, really. And it does get me towards the end where you have the Christmas miracle with the armistice.
I just kind of wish there was a full story of that, to be honest.
No, I'm not sure if you can do much of a full story with it, though.
I just think that it just seems so right for Doctor Who.
But I think it's beautifully worked in here in that it does save that man's life. And, there's not really too much more you can do with it as a historical event. And I mean, you always can go back to it.
Yeah.
But it didn't just take place in this one location. It was all across the lines. So, there is the potential there to return to it if someone does have an idea. But I think you don't want alien interference or anything like that here. It just works as a nice little human miracle. The Doctor isn't involved in making it happen. It just does. And that's what's so wonderful about it as an event in history. As they're singing songs and everything. It all works beautifully for the climax of the episode, really.
Yeah, I would say like the last half an hour is where it's at its strongest.
Yeah. What would you rate it then? Have you given it what?
No, I've not rated it yet.
Yeah, go for it.
I'm going to go 7.
That's fair.
I think that it's all right. It's just got a few clunky bit. Like the heart's in the right place. It's just got a bit of a clunky moment to get to find the heart at times.
That's fair. I was teetering on a 7, but I thought I'm in a generous mood. It's Christmas.
It is. It's nearly Christmas.
Yeah, and I mean, this is one of the few Christmas specials on here we've watched close to the time, isn't it? Really, it's the only one I've watched with my tree up. So, yeah, it's the 14th today. Night of the Doctor has Night of the Doctor and Light the Flame. Sorry, our double bill episode of the Regeneration Marathon has just come out for us. So, for those of you who like these little behind the scenes bits of where we're at in real time, there you go. We're cutting it a bit fine, but we are going to get there. We're going to get Woman Who Fell to Earth and Power of the Doctor out in time for Christmas.
I would say this, Twice Upon a Time in particular, was the one I was really excited to watch on this marathon. Because I think...
do you think it lived up to that excitement for it again?
I think it improved.
I'd say it improved for me. This was my first watch since it broadcast, actually. And when you watch something once, you think, that was pretty good, but then you see other people's opinions on it, and even when there's that negative response, you start to wonder, maybe I got it wrong, maybe it was worse than I remember.
Yeah.
But actually coming back to it, it was pretty good. It's not deserving of the hate it gets. It's a nice follow-up to The Doctor Falls. It's not on the same level.
Yeah.
But it doesn't take away anything from that amazing two-parter.
There's a wonderful cheesiness to the Christmas episodes, and this story had it.
Yeah. This story, it could only really work as a Christmas special. It gets Christmas goodwill, I suppose.
Yeah, and I love how it's sort of the first and 12th Doctor both coming to terms with change. And I think it's a story that can only be done once. So I think there is something quite beautiful about it.
Yeah.
I know it's a shame that Capaldi's had to share his post and regen story with another doctor.
But like we say, he doesn't in a way because he does still have World Enough and Time and Doctor Falls.
Yeah.
It's worked out wonderfully there, really. And I mean, I'm sure him as a Doctor Who fan loved his final story featuring the first Doctor.
Yeah.
And bringing it, like we say, it brings things full circle for the first, what is it at this point, 54 years of the show?
Yeah, it would be, yeah.
Yeah, coming up to 60 now. This is get.
Yeah, 5 years ago, this is.
Yeah, feels like just yesterday, but no, this is quite a way off. As is our next story, tomorrow's installment, The Woman Who Fell to Earth.
We start a whole new era.
Yeah, we do. And then we finish it the day after, along with this whole series. It's
and then a little
almost
bonus.
at its end. Yeah.
It's
the end that the moment has been prepared for.
Yeah, it's not the last time we'd use that joke. We've got a few more times before we can milk it.
I mean, we said it all the way back with the Lugopolis, didn't we?
Yes.
We said, you're going to hear us say it again. Here you go. And once again, you're going to hear us say it again.
Absolutely.
But anyway, as we say, it's the end, but the moment's been prepared for. Do you want to see us off with an outro?
So, if you've enjoyed this Capaldi extravaganza, and if you've been enjoying Regeneration Marathon so far, please do hit that like button because we've enjoyed doing this series. It's not at its end yet, but we're nearly there. So if you could show us some support for just to get us to the finish line, we'll really appreciate it. If you're new around here and you like the sound of this series, go check it out if you haven't checked it out already and subscribe. As we normally do a stream, the time this goes out, we might have done a Christmas stream. If not, a Christmas stream will be coming where we just chill and answer questions and talk about Doctor Who. We'll see you next time for The Woman Who Fell to Earth.
See you tomorrow, everyone.
Sheffield.
That's the worst part, isn't it?
Yeah, up north.